So we certainly are disappointed. In relation to the sentence today, certainly satisfied. Anytime you can save someone's life, you feel like you had a good day's work. Something very strange to me occurred, though. The same jury that convicted Mr. McCraney of these crimes actually voted in, 30 seconds for life without parole. That seems to be a little oxymoron, so to speak. So I felt that maybe beyond a reasonable doubt, we proved that. Now I want to say this. I go all over the state of Alabama, and I hear this all the time. But the fight we had for the last 2 weeks was a vigorous fight. Attorney General Marshall is a formidable lawyer. His entire team is formidable. My hat's off to them. They were classy, they were formidable, and they did their job. So I have a lot of respect for Attorney General Marshall. At the same time, Mr. McCraney had a lot of family members come out, had a lot of support in the community. I think that social media right now is just ablaze by the verdict and by the outcome, and we certainly have 30 days to appeal, 30 days to file a motion for a new trial, which we'll be getting done. And from that point, we'll have 42 days to file an appeal. There are some issues that we feel like that are appealable, and we plan to go forward with those issues.
Can you share those issues with us?
Well, it's a little premature at this point. I would just say that we'll be filing something probably within the next 14 days.
So you will file a motion for a new trial, and then I imagine appeal as well.
Well, we will file a motion for a new trial, depending upon what the judge does with our motion. If he denies it, then yes, we will be appealing. Obviously, if he grants it, then we'll be having a new trial. But yes, we'll be filing our motion for a new trial.
I know you can't reveal too many details, but can you share any of your conversation with Coley McCraney after that guilty verdict?
Well, obviously, Mr. McCraney is disappointed. Mr. McCraney, as a matter of fact, he felt like he let us down. That's just the kind of person Coley McCraney is. When Coley McCraney got the verdict, he looks at us and said, "I'm sorry I let you guys down." So that's the kind of person we're representing. That's why it's very difficult, even today.
Would you allow Mr. McCraney, if you had to do over again, to get on that stand?
Well, you know, I get asked that. I've been asked that question quite a few times. Now, let me say this to you. Mr. McCraney had maybe 20 minutes to represent himself in front of a jury. If you've never been on the witness stand before, in any kind of case, whether it be a traffic ticket, whether it be a divorce, or whether it be a serious felony, you're going to be nervous. I'm nervous every time I go into a courtroom. Coley McCraney's alive. He was looking at several counts of capital murder, including the death penalty. So he was going to be nervous. And Coley McCraney was nervous. So to answer your question, yes, I'll put an innocent man on the stand any day, anytime, anywhere.
So early on, I guess early this morning, we saw some protests, or not, like a rally for Coley. What did that kind of mean to you? I guess, did you guys see that this morning and saw anything regarding that and what that meant for you guys?
We saw it. The support was always appreciated. Support, like David said, his family has been in the courtroom. Friends have been in the courtroom. People from the community that support him have been in the courtroom. The only thing that in my opinion, this is my opinion, is where were those signs and those people when we were trying to get a bond for him? Where were those signs and those people when we were having all these hearings for the last 4 years? Where were those signs and those people for the last 2 weeks? They don't show up until after he's convicted. Now, I'm not talking about the people in the courtroom, but I'm talking about the people that were on the side of the street this morning with their signs. It's almost a little too late.
Well, I better say both of you are right. You walk out of this room today telling us in your mind and in your hearts that man's innocent.
Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I have been doing this job 32 years. I have probably tried in the neighborhood of 200 criminal jury trials. As of today, knowing everything that I know, I cannot agree with the fact that the state proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt. Even with the things that I know, I still could not convict him, even in my heart, beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. when it comes to the courtroom, and a lot of people know this, but sometimes we watch too much Law and Order and we get confused. That courtroom is to determine if the state has proven beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty. The jury's job is not to decide innocence. Their job is to decide if the state has proven his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. And I, in my heart, I could not have convicted him.
I also want to say this. If you listened in the penalty phase today, almost to the person, they talked about who Coley McCraney was. One young man testified that he did a 90-day jail sentence in the county jail. And Coley McCraney didn't save his life, but he saved his soul. That's the kind of person that Coley McCraney is. That's the kind of person he's been. So we will be seeking a new trial, and we'll be asking the Court of Appeals to review this case.
And just to speak to that a little further, one of the very first times we met Coley, he told us how as a father, his heart hurt for those girls' families. Now, if somebody had locked me up and accused me of those type things, I don't think the very first time I met with my lawyers I would be talking about how my heart hurt for those girls' families. And that ought to tell you who he is.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough, Mr. Harrison.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To be just procedural, the new trial ruling will have to come before you appeal?
Correct.
Yeah.
We have to set the new trial, or the conditions that we're saying were violated in that motion for a new trial. And then 42 days from the judge's decision on that, we have to file an appeal. I will say this. In my experience in trying cases, I do not believe that I've ever seen social media come into play like it did in this case. I think that on our motion for a new trial, there's going to be some issues where we believe that there are some jurors that may or may not have been posting on social media during deliberation and maybe during the trial.
So you're alleging juror misconduct?
Well, I'm not going to say that at this point because I haven't seen all the evidence. I've seen enough to let you know that we're going to be bringing that up in a motion for a new trial. Yes, I've seen that, enough evidence to stand in front of a court of law and say, I believe this occurred.
You said during the sentencing phase.
Oh, no, during the deliberation
During the
phase.
deliberations.
Which again, is the first time that I have ever experienced it, first time I've ever heard of it, and I'm sure it's going to be a case of new impression. I mean, we just need to realize the sanctity of a jury should be without social media. There's evidence that one of the jurors may or may not have been on their social media even during the testimony. It appears there's some evidence that might have occurred. So we're certainly going to bring that up for review. I mean, you know, a jury's spoken. We're not complaining about that. We're saying that the sanctity of that jury might have been at issue with, or the rules of the court might have been violated.
Well, and in a case like this where there has been 20 years of rumors and other things like that, what we are willing to tell y'all is that we have seen enough that warrants our investigation into it.
And which is troubling. We are, minutes away from saving somebody's life. And again, I want to say that our heart goes out to both families of these deceased girls. I mean, I cannot imagine.
Yes.
But at the same time, the integrity of our system has to stand. And if it doesn't, we don't go by the rules, and we don't have a true verdict. We don't have true integrity. And it's our job as lawyers to protect our clients' rights. And if indeed there was some juror misconduct, we hope to bring it out.
And it's our job as officers of the court to protect the integrity of that court.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough.
Thank you, Mr. Scarborough.